Hey there, Contractor Kev here with Overseas Contractor Academy, and today we're going to answer the question, why is it called being a contractor? So you'll hear us quite a lot. We talk about overseas contracting, being an overseas contractor. What exactly does that mean? So we're going to cover that today, right after the intro video. See you in 12 seconds. Okay, so overseas contracting, being an overseas contractor, why is it called that? And so the reason that it's called that is it all starts with the government. And so big government, what they do is they need a service or they need a product of some kind. And what they do in order to buy that service, or say it's a supply type item like uniforms or boots or whatever they need, they write a purchase contract with some supplier or some service provider. And so on the supply side, it could be maybe they buy 1 million pairs of boots, and so they write up this legal contract that says, we, the government, hereby agree to buy 1 million pairs of boots from company X, and company X has to supply the boots in these sizes, these styles, these colors, blah blah blah, lots of legalese details, and delivered by this date. So that's a simple purchase contract. And so a service contract is, okay, we need you to provide us this service. So that's where it gets into you and me. So when there is a company that's going to provide a service to the government, a contract is cut between that government entity, whether it's Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Department of State, whoever it is. They cut a contract to some big company, and they say, like, you provide us this service. And usually for stuff we're looking at, it's service overseas in some location where you're like, all right, you have to provide us postal services on this base in Kuwait, we'll call it. So that's a postal services contract, right? Well, the company that wins that, we'll call it Postal Services of America, Inc. So it's not the post office, it's some commercial company like a FedEx or a UPS or whatever that does the service inside of a post office. And this is all hypothetical, but I'm just using it as a model. So the Postal Services company then says, okay, we've got this contract to do 1 year of postal service on this base in Kuwait. I've got to contract some employees now. And so the contract goes from the government to the business, and now the business makes contracts with employees for us to show up and actually work. So that's why we are not direct employees, because it's only a contract, a temporary contract, even if that temporary contract is 1 year plus a possible extension for 2 or 3 years or whatever. It's still a temporary thing. And so for that reason, you sign an employment contract. You are not just an employee. Now, there are some times when that doesn't particularly apply. Certain companies do try to make you like a full employee of that company, but you want to be a contractor if you can. So depending on the company, there's some that when you are a direct employee, you might get, let's say, matching contribution to the retirement plan or something like that, which is a great benefit. But overall, the big thing is, because tax-wise, there's two things that really are big. Obviously, you want to be able to exclude a lot of your income from the taxes. And there's two big things you got to have to make that. Is number one, you can't be in the U.S., and then number two, you can't be working for a U.S. entity. So if you're working for this postal service company and they're based out of Washington, D.C., you would pay taxes if you were a direct employee. But what they do is they create a sub company in Dubai, usually is the most business friendly place here in the region. And so they have this subordinate company, and they'll call it like their name, comma, in Dubai or something like that, where everyone knows it's the same thing, but they're incorporated in Dubai. And that'll be who you work for, is you work for Postal Services Inc. in Dubai. And then your outsourced to Kuwait. Your duty location, your work location is Kuwait. So that way, now you've met the second thing. And the company themselves have real good tax advantages for doing that. Because if they were, they base their headquarters in the U.S. in Washington. Most companies are in Washington, D.C. or in the D.C. area. If they have anything to do with the State Department or Department of Defense or government or any of that. So, but all their subsidiaries are in Dubai or overseas somewhere that's really business friendly and tax friendly, and that's where they collect all those profits from the government contracts. And because it's now a non-U.S. entity doing non-U.S. located work, they have tax advantages as well. But for you and me, to avoid having to pay that U.S. income tax, we are, number one, not in the U.S. and therefore supposedly, theoretically, not benefiting directly from the things that our taxes do. So that's, build roads and state prisons and all the stuff that the U.S. taxes are supposed to be doing. We're not there to benefit from that. So that's one of the reasons you're exempted. And then number two, are you, you're not in the U.S. And then number two, are you working for a non-U.S. company? And so these are the two big things. And because, whatever company you are, you're actually working for a Dubai subsidiary, now you're tax-free. There you have it. You're a contractor because your company has a contract, and then you have a contract with your company. So that's where the name, being an overseas contractor, that's where it comes from. And now you know. But all right, question answered. Hope you liked the video. See you guys next time.
Birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we thirsty. Damn right, I like the life I live. Cause I went from negative to positive, and it's all good. And if you don't know, now you know, you know.